And now let us begin our practice of building our coherence. And let us begin by practicing by placing awareness in the area of our hearts, taking slow, deep breaths, and experiencing these flowing in and out of your heart. Breathing a little slow, gentle, almost like you're hugging your heart with these wonderful, deep, gentle breaths as you draw them in and visualize them, or experiencing them actually flowing into your heart. And just experience your chest rising and falling with every breath you take. And just slow down for the next few minutes. Just let's slow down. Now take a little deeper breaths, just slightly deeper. And experience these breaths symmetrically. So when you take a deep breath in for about 5 seconds, exhale at the same pace and allow the exhalation to last about 5 seconds. That's what I mean by symmetrical. This affects your autonomic nervous system and balances it out. And there's a lot more going on in your body I can talk about. But right now, just focus on your chest rising and falling as you take these slow, deep, gentle breaths in and out. Take the slow, gentle breaths for another minute and experience your body slowing down, and see if you can sense something just beyond your body. This is the magnetic field that surrounds your body when you take these wonderful, gentle breaths. Your heart produces a magnetic field that is coherent. See if you can sense it. It's very palpable. Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining me today. So now let us begin by exploring the I didn't know that moment. And in this I didn't know that moment, I want to kind of share with you the concept of abandoning perfection to embrace authenticity. And for a lot of people, this is an issue. When we try and explore perfection, and this is an issue that I've been dealing with quite a bit myself in my own development. And so I wanted to share with you my experiences so that this is something that can, you can tune into and see if this is appropriate for you. But in my particular example, when things are not going perfect, I become very angry, very agitated. And I've noticed this about me when I look at things that are not going perfect, especially when I'm the one who's establishing a particular, like for example, when I help my clients build their business, grow their business, and I help the client establish a process and a policy, and it's not being followed by others. So my immediate visceral reaction is to get angry because people are not following process, and it's costing my client money because of that. And that is, something that I lose my authentic center, because my authentic center is to love everyone and to first assume that no one gets up in the morning to fail. No one gets up in the morning and says, today I'm going to fail. So when people are doing things, their behavior is causing things that are causing failure in systems and processes. It's perhaps not their intention to do that, and I need to be mindful of that. So the example that I just gave you is an example that how I have self-reflected on my own behavior and how I have begun to actually address it. And so in this instance, when we look at things going wrong, what we need to do is ask ourselves, okay, first of all, things have gone wrong, and we have identified somebody that's causing the issue, somebody's behavior that's causing an issue for us. Whether that is they've said something that upset us, they're saying something that upset somebody we love, or whatever they've said. Remember one thing, and I have to remember this too, and I do kind of once in a while forget this, is that first thing I convince myself that they did not wake up this morning to say I'm going to screw up or I'm going to mess up Shamir's life. As a matter of fact, they probably got up this morning and said, I really want to be happy and joyful. So when you are triggered, when I'm triggered, the first thing we need to access is our heart. And when we do the breathing technique like we do here, and we often do that, we get into our heart and say, okay, let us have a perspective that this person did not mean to fail. And then approach it from that perspective. And we talked about curiosity as a good attitude to have always. So if somebody has a behavior that causes a trigger, the one thing that I love to do, and Brene Brown, I have to credit her for this, this is the one statement that really helps, is to let this individual know that when you have behaved in this way, the story I've created in my mind is that you are really not caring about how I feel. Or in my experience, or in my particular example, you really don't care about how the business is doing or how well it should be thriving. So the story I'm creating in my mind is that you are doing this and really being malicious about it. And then follow up with saying that I don't truly believe that that's the case, but I can't think of any other story that's coming through my mind. So please help me understand this better. All right. So that is really the idea, that ask yourself, are you getting angry because things are not going perfect? There may be different reasons why you're getting angry, but this one is one that's key for me, at least. And it may just be something for you, and you will not know unless you pay attention every time you get triggered and ask yourself this question. So that is abandon perfection, embrace authenticity. All right. So thank you so much. Let us now begin the next 5-minute segment where we will actually go into our hearts and we will begin a quick coherence technique, and we'll add one more step to this, which is experiencing a regenerative emotion. And this basically, what it does is it actually creates a broadcast of magnetic field coming out of the heart, and this is measured in laboratories, where all the frequencies of the magnetic field are very coherent and harmonious. And when we do this type of breathing technique and we experience joy, appreciation, we actually create a field around us that can actually transform not only us, but others around us. So let us begin to place our awareness in the area of the heart. Let us take slow, deep, gentle breaths. Visualize these flowing in and out of our hearts. And now bring forward an experience that you've had that created joy, that just created a lot of joy, appreciation, peace, gratitude. For Canadians today especially, what do we have to be thankful for? And let us take inventory of that, and let's bring the emotions into that. Because without emotions, we're just in our heads. So let us go into our hearts, connect the head to the heart, and experience joy. Taking slow, deep, gentle breaths. Now for the next 2 minutes, talk to your body as you take these slow, deep breaths. Ask your body to give you permission, or at least you give the body permission, to experience these emotions at a deeper level, at a more intense level. The higher the intensity of joy, the more powerful your field becomes, your energetic field becomes. So just give your body permission to experience these emotions, and just open up your heart to this, taking slow, deep breaths, experiencing them flowing in and out of your heart, and ask for more elevated emotions. Give your body permission to open up just a little bit more, breathe just a little bit more deeply, and experience just a little bit more intense emotion. Excellent. Thank you so much for participating for this 15-minute segment. We do have some time for Q&A, so I'm happy to take any questions, not necessarily of this particular topic, if you want, of course, but of anything that I have spoken about in the past, or you wish clarification on that I may be able to help out in any way. So please do type in your questions and see if I can support you in that way. In the meantime, I'll go and see in the group chat here. Thank you, Carol from Florida. Hey, Good morning, Carol. Thank you for joining me today. Lou and Will from Saskatchewan. Thank you so much. Hope you're all doing really well, and happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Anne from Hawaii. Aloha. Lovely to be together with you all again today. Is it because we do not truly value our inner light and love that we continually measure our reactions to life in terms of perfection? That's a very deep question again. Thank you for sharing that. It's possible that we do not truly value our inner light and love. I think we just forget. We just forget that we are, every cell in our body is imbued with divinity, and anytime we feel anxiety, stress, or anytime we're triggered, like the trigger I had, a visceral reaction to an imperfect outcome. If I say that, imperfect outcome, I forget that there's a divine presence in the person that I have attributed to creating this imperfect outcome, and that divine person, that divinity within that person is actually the divinity within me, because that is the same person. And so when I get angry at somebody, I'm getting angry at the divine within that person, which means I'm getting angry at the divine within me, because we're all connected in that way. And so if I have to think about this, again, I have a visceral reaction, and then I have to think about and process it, it means I just haven't embodied it in my heart yet. And every time I bring it closer to my awareness, that by shouting at somebody or getting angry at somebody becomes a process that I have to go through, and saying, well, that's somebody's divinity, is my divinity, blah, blah, blah. I still haven't embodied it, but I'm on my way to embodying it. Because the first step in having that embodiment is to actually recognize it, process it. It takes a little longer, just like the breathing technique that we do here. It takes a long time before we kind of go from, okay, these are the steps, to you'll just be part of your kind of expression, your authentic expression. In a similar way, when you find yourself not having a visceral reaction to a particular trigger, and you're approaching it with kindness and love and compassion, and you're getting less triggered, it means that you are on your way to embody that divinity within you. So thank you for bringing that up. I really appreciate that, Anne. As always, Mubin, happy Thanksgiving. Maybe others who do not perform to our expectations are just being their authentic selves. Yes, and that's another good point, Mubin. Thank you so much. I appreciate your comments. When the part of it is when others are not behaving in a way that's causing things to go around them, that's causing some disturbance or some reactions, they may not be aware that those reactions are happening. And if they're aware, they do not know what to do with it. They're not able to manage those reactions. And so these are people who are maybe sometimes socially awkward, or perhaps they've had a moment, a human moment, an imperfect moment. And so our job, when we witness that, and assuming we're not causing that ourselves, our job, again, is to go back to that curious mindset. I wonder, if you approach it with that person saying, I wonder if you are aware that when you say this, it's appearing to be this way, and I know that is not how you mean to come across. I did that once with my boss, my former boss. I said, when you say these things in a meeting, it comes across as quite disrespectful. And his eyes opened wide up, and he says, oh my God, I am so sorry. I had no idea. Some people do not even know that their behavior is triggering things. And when we actually bring it to them in a gentle, soft, loving way, with compassion, and say, look, this is the behavior that's causing this kind of a response, and I know that you don't want that response to happen. I just want you to be aware. Once they're aware, then they can work on it. But if they're not aware, that's always going to be your perception of them. So thank you so much, Mubin, for bringing that up. Cecile, I don't really feel anger, but frustration when this happens to me. When this happens, I say to myself, can I honor and trust that what that person is doing is to the best for their evolution? Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. It's not about them anymore, right? It's about us. It's about how we react to that out there. And we're not in charge of redirecting their behavior. We should not consider it our job to redirect their behavior. Unless we have to because it's our job, or perhaps they're affecting somebody that's not able to defend themselves or able to address it for themselves. But we're not in no obligation to do that. But I think your approach is actually well advised. Is that, say to yourself, can I honor and trust that what this person is doing is the best for their evolution? And in the context of that is evolution. Is their evolution depends on their ability to be self-aware. So are they self-aware that they're causing this disturbance or this kind of behavior? Or is there something that you don't know that's happening behind the scenes that's causing that? And you're always kind of advised to go with that curious mindset and saying, I wonder, when you do this is happening. Is there something more to the story? Because the story I'm creating in my mind is this, and I know that's not the story I want in my mind right now. I want you to create a different story for me. I think that's the most safest way, and it keeps us honoring our own authenticity, and it helps them evolve. Thank you for that. Lou and Will, to add to what others are saying, I guess everyone is doing their best at any given moment, even if I expect or hope for a different outcome from them. Yes, exactly, and that's exactly right, Lou. You've encapsulated that very well, because nobody sets out to say, today I'm going to fail miserably. Nobody says that. Nobody means to fail. Their behavior may trigger some things that cause others to second guess their motives. But at the same time, we need to honor the fact that they just had a human moment. And so, thank you so much. That was an excellent conversation that everyone engaged in. I really appreciate that. Thank you. All right, Mubin. As you mentioned, Shamir, communication is perhaps the key. We should communicate in a gentle and compassionate manner rather than assuming and taking things personally. Well captured, yes. That's exactly that. It's, but forgive yourself, and this goes to everybody, and this goes to me too. Let's forgive ourselves for having reacted in a way that we feel that it's a personal attack, or we take things personally. Let's forgive ourselves. As long as we catch ourselves and we remember that is something that we're training our body to do. It takes about 21 days for our body to get into a training mode where we're no longer doing the old habits. So we're actually, think of this as training our bodies. When we actually catch ourselves behaving in a way that's triggering others, then we have the intention of saying, okay, I do not want to do that again. And every time we are about to move into that mode, we are reminded, because the body now is beginning to be trained in this way. So thank you so much, Mubin. It is practice to achieve what you're saying. So I appreciate you kind of capturing that in a capsule there. Thank you so much. Well, I appreciate everyone's comments here. And again, like I said, send me an email. Happy to connect with you over email. All right. Until next week on Monday, we'll see you then. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful rest of the week. Take care.